Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing? It's your girl, Legal Beast. On my way to court this morning. I have a really heavy court schedule this morning with a couple of motion hearings and preliminary exam as well. Fortunately, the courts are really close to each other to the ones that I'm going to. But it's going to be a busy morning. I do, however, still intend on, when I can, having my earbud in my ear and listening to the Crumbley Trial. Day 2 is day 2. I didn't get a chance to log on yesterday about my thoughts at the end of day 1. And, I've got to say, starting out, and here's my thoughts I'm going to give you my thoughts as a criminal defense attorney and as a mother. And I'll give you those as a mother first. As a mother, I think that they need to be mindful in the complete separation they are trying to do between Miss Crumbley and her son, because he is just that, her son. We know who he is. The public knows who he is. The public knows his name. It's my understanding that there was during pretrial motions that there was a motion to preclude saying his name during the trial, which in the big scheme of things I get, because lo and behold, he's still a minor. He was still a minor. Even though he was handled in adult court, he was waived into adult court, he is still technically a juvenile. And so I get that. That may not have been the reason, but I get that. But I think they are teetering on a very thin line of more so bringing her compassion and her relationship with her child into question. And I think a lot of parents and a lot of mothers particularly, but a lot of parents are going to look at how they're trying to separate these things and how they're trying to draw this distinction of line, can look at it very negatively, because our number one goal as our child, as a parent, is to protect our child from harm, whether it and make them feel safe, secure, provide them with their daily needs, etc., support. And to me, from the first day of trial and the way the opening went, it almost just appears as though she's throwing her son under the bus, and that she has no ties to what was done, which can reflect negatively on her as a parent and have her be judged as a parent instead of criminally as a defendant, and saying that you are a neglectful parent. How could you not have this closeness with your child? How could you not know these things about your child? Why were you not there? Why were you not present? And I think it's going to call into question a lot of things about her parenting that are going to affect her case on an emotional basis. Like, this is a case that you can't remove emotion from. And I think you have to be very mindful in that approaching your defense in the case, that you are still displaying a motherly bond, if that makes sense. If you get what I'm saying. Like, you still have to display that motherly bond. You still have to display that parental care. And I don't think that is being tied together in this case. I just don't. And I'm not judging defense counsel. Because I don't know all of the evidence. I'm hearing it in real time, and I'm going off of day to day of what I'm hearing. I'm not privy to all of the documents. I'm not privy to the evidence, the reports. I'm not privy to the photos, the witnesses, the testimony, investigative reports, etc. I'm not privy to any of that. This is just an outsider looking in, watching the trial from different points of view. I also think, as a my opinion as giving as a parent, the emotion she displayed by crying in court, like, I think the facts as they were presented, I think it's almost hard not to cry or share emotion when you see someone else that has been harmed by your child in such a graphic way, dramatic way. I think it's hard not to display emotion. I think if she did not display emotion, then she would have come off as, a heartless criminal, quite frankly. I think she would. So I think it's just natural for everyone to display some type of emotion in this case. We can't see the jury from the videos because they are protecting the jury's identities, which I think is wholly appropriate in this particular case. So we can't say or see the effect it had on the jury either. Now, as a defense attorney, in my view, I think that there was such an opportunity to change the narrative of who Miss Crumbley was, and it was such an opportunity to, build the narrative and your story in that opening, and I just did not, in my opinion, I didn't get that. I think this is a delicate case and things have to be approached in a certain way, but considering the precedents that this case could set, and not just in the criminal realm, we're talking this case can have broad-reaching effects nationwide as to the outcome of this case. Because if those parents are convicted, and I think they will be, if those parents are convicted, you are talking about establishing a precedence nationwide that other jurisdictions can use to not only go after the school shooter, but go after their parent, their guardian, if they're a minor, and investigate there. I think not only that, you are going to have a lot of school policy be affected by the signs that were exhibited here but were not acted upon. I think there's also going to be a broad-reaching effect in the foster care system and child protective services, because you're now talking about, once you begin to question these parents' abilities to handle or neglect their children, and there are other children in the home, now you're bringing into question their ability to parent, and whether or not other children should be removed from their care, which would cause an increase in child neglect proceedings, termination of parental right proceedings, potentially guardianship proceedings, where the parent is signing over their child to someone else so that they aren't legally terminated to their child. You're going to see, I think, an increase in adoptions. You're going to see an increase in foster care, and you can see an increase in needing foster care parents. There's already a shortage there. There's already a shortage in the CPS system. So we're talking about this one case can greatly affect a broad horizon of cases, or I guess you could say factions of law, and what will happen in them. I think that overall, it is going to have a rippling effect overall. I think that I'm running out of time, so I'm going to do a part 2.